For this Railfan trip, we're heading about 90 minutes southwest to Louisville. We'll be focusing on the 14th Street Bridge and the Kentucky and Indiana Bridge, with a little about the Norfolk Southern Youngtown Yard. I've driven by the 14th Street Bridge many times and always wanted to learn more about it. It was a Sunday, so I didn't know if I would see anything come across. The bridge was in its raised position, but within a few minutes of arriving, I heard a loud siren blast from it. I figured that meant a train was coming, and sure enough, it started to lower. I hurried to get set up and just barely caught the CSX as it slowly made its way across the bridge. A short time later, I was able to get my drone in the air and pace the train as it crept along. The bridge is also known as the Ohio Falls Bridge, among other names. The Truss Drawbridge connects Louisville and Clarksville. It was originally built in 1870, but was rebuilt around 1919. During that rebuild, the drawbridge replaced the original swing span. It's about 60 feet shy of a mile in total length. Its longest span is more than 640 feet long and is about 100 feet above the river. It was built for 2 tracks and has carried double tracks in the past, but you can see it only has 1 track currently. The Louisville and Indiana Railroad purchased the bridge from Conrail in 1994 after buying its line between Louisville and Indianapolis. The draw span is across the upstream end of the Louisville and Portland Canal. The canal leads to the McAlpin Locks and Dam, which empty near the Kentucky and Indiana Bridge. But we'll get to that in a minute. Here's something I accidentally stumbled across, the distance signal to the bridge. It's a fixed approach, but you can see it looks like it was originally designed to show two aspects. I'd love to know why it was changed. Here's a time lapse of the bridge raising up. That was as good as it got for catching trains for the day. Now, let's head to the Kentucky and Indiana Bridge. I caught this westbound as it was approaching. I got my ground camera set up just in time, but of course, right as I lift off with my drone, the train comes to a stop. It sat there for a few minutes and then began doubling out, so I decided to follow it to Youngtown Yard. You can see how far back the train extends with all its auto racks. we'll see that CSX train in just a minute. I don't know what that Norfolk Southern engine was doing.
Fucking doing ya?
You can see the bridge off in the distance over the expressway. Unfortunately, I kept getting high wind warnings on the drone and I had to bring it home. Just a short time later, the train started to pull out for Indiana. Then the CSX local popped its head out for just a second. But then back down. I got several pictures of the engine turning the Y a little later on, but didn't see what happened with the train. I grabbed lunch, and when I came back, there was an eastbound train sitting here. A westbound train started to double out, and I was able to get some drone video of it, as well as the bridge, but that eastbound train pretty much blocked everything from the ground. Finished in 1912, this bridge replaced a previous one built in 1886. It connects Louisville and New Albany. Not as long as the 14th Street Bridge, this one is just over 4,500 feet long. But that's including these approaches though. The actual river span is only about 2,400 feet in length. If you notice, this has a lane for auto traffic on each side. Originally fitted with a wooden road service, that was replaced with steel decking in 1952. The northbound lane was closed in 1979 after part of it collapsed because of an overweight dump truck, but supposedly employees are still allowed to use the southbound lane to cross the river. This was built with a swing span, but it only opened twice before being permanently locked down in 1955. And if you look closely, you can see the cylindrical pier it sits on. Like the 14th Street Bridge, this one is also about 100 feet above the river. You can see the McAlpin Locks and Dam just upriver. The Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Road was owned by the Baltimore and Ohio, Southern, and Monon. It was eventually folded into the Norfolk Southern, which now also owns Youngtown Yard. From Youngtown, cargo makes its way to Evansville, St. Louis, and Kansas City. Unfortunately, I couldn't find much information on the yard. What I could find says it was used by the Monon as the terminal to its traffic along with B&O in the Southern. It's a flat track sorting yard, no hump here. It does have a round table though. I noticed that the control point between the yard and the bridge is DI Tower. I tried to find more about that as well, but only found it used one other place, and that's on cincyrails.com. It says, quote, all trains arriving at Guest Street must call DI Tower. So I assume it has something to do with the yards. Please let me know if you have more information. I'd really appreciate it. That does it for this trip. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back in Louisville soon. We'll focus on CSX as well as the L&N and its history within the city. For our next trip, we're heading to Columbus. We'll take a closer look at the bridges crossing the Scioto River in downtown and Norfolk Southern's Buckeye Yard as well as CSX's Parsons Yard. I hope you'll join me. Until then, have a great day. I'll leave you all with some drone video of the 14th Street Bridge.